Hi, I'm Michelle.
And I'm Kristina, and the big idea for today is Jesus shows us God's never-ending love.
Wow, that is big because I really don't think we have a grasp of how never-ending God's love is.
I know, right? Like, is there anything on earth that you can say is truly never-ending?
Maybe like the ocean, the sky, the galaxy?
Yeah, that's true. But did you notice all those things are actually God's creations and nothing that people made? Well, let's see what this is all about and watch the God story next.
Why was the broom late? Because it overswept. Hey everyone, my name is Liza. So happy to be here with you this week. I wanted to start by sharing a story about one of my favorite nights ever. It was right after I had graduated, and my mom wanted to do something special to celebrate, so she bought me tickets to see my favorite band, which was really cool because it just so happens that this was her favorite band back when she was my age. So it was gonna be something neat for us to experience together. And when we went downtown that night, the concert was outside, so we found a seat on the lawn. The sun was setting beautifully. Everyone who was attending the concert was in such a great mood. And as the band came out to play, we sang songs together and just had such a great time. And I can remember looking around and thinking, I wish this night would never end. Experiencing God's love is something that's way better than seeing your favorite band perform live. Plus, we know that God loves us with a love that lasts forever. And that leads me to today's big idea. Jesus shows us God's never-ending love. But before I continue, let's just recap what we talked about last week. Out of his love, God created the whole universe, and he created people to be in a perfect, loving relationship with him. And then sin entered the world and separated people from God. But God set a rescue plan in motion to get sin out of the way. He gave people rules to live by, but they kept breaking them, and so he gave them rulers to help guide them: judges, prophets, priests, and kings. God told Jeremiah that he was going to speak through him, and Jeremiah was nervous because he thought he was too young. But God told Jeremiah that his age didn't matter. God spoke through Jeremiah to help his family, Israel, remember God and turn from their sins. And Jeremiah tried and tried, but the Israelites didn't listen. God gave Jeremiah incredible things to share. Let's read. The Lord appeared to us in the past. He said, "I have loved you with a love that lasts forever. I have kept on loving you with a kindness that never fails." God loves us with a love that lasts forever. How amazing. And we see that so clearly through Jesus. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Jeremiah continued to tell people all of the things that God wanted him to say. And many of these things were about how the people should stop living their own way. The people didn't really like what Jeremiah was telling them. In fact, they held him in stocks, like a prisoner. And even then, God spoke through him. God said to him, "I made the earth, I formed it, and I set it in place. The Lord is my name. Call out to me. I will answer you. I will tell you great things you do not know, and unless I do, you wouldn't be able to find out about them." Even while Jeremiah was locked up, God wanted to remind him of who he was. He could call out to God, and God would answer. God went on to say that people would be judged because they refused to do what is right, but then he would bring healing. God would forgive them for all of their sins. And in this time, he said, people will say, "Give thanks to the Lord who rules over all, because he is good. His faithful love continues forever." Now listen closely to what God says next, because it's really important. "The days are coming," announces the Lord. "At that time, I will fulfill my good promise to my people. I made it to the people of Israel and Judah. Here is what I will do in those days and at that time. I will make a godly branch grow from David's royal line. He will do what is fair and right in the land. In those days, Judah will be saved. Jerusalem will live in safety, and it will be called the Lord who makes us right with himself." Okay, that was a pretty big deal what God spoke through Jeremiah. He said he will make a godly branch grow from David's royal line. And that might be a bit confusing, but we now know that Jesus was from David's family tree. Jesus showed people what is fair and good and right and just and loving. And then he said, in those days, Judah will be saved. Judah was another name for God's special family, the Israelites. And when Jesus came, he came to save or rescue them. So all of these things point to Jesus. How cool is that? God gave Jeremiah this awesome message about who Jesus would be way before Jesus was even born on earth. And we now know that Jesus shows us God's never-ending love. God's wonderful, beautiful, amazing love for you and for me and for everyone. That's an exciting big idea, and that is worth sharing with as many people as possible. God loves you with a love that lasts forever. Thank you so much for hanging out this week, guys. I'll see you next week. Take care.
Throughout the God story, we really do learn about God's never-ending love. And with Jesus giving his life for us, we learn about how amazing his love is.
It's so true, and it got me thinking, like, how can we actually describe God's amazing love to people who haven't experienced it yet? I mean, like, what can we use to compare that will actually portray how great God's love really is?
We can't really describe fully what God's love is, but we do want to show you the love that people get through these service dogs.
Yeah, these service dogs are so amazing, and we're not saying that it equates, that it's the same as the love of God. His love is beyond anything in this world. But it truly is inspiring to see how these dogs serve and love the people they work with. Watch this.
So my name is Julie Gabori. I'm an instructor here at Dog Guides Canada. And what I love the most about dogs is the unconditional love that they provide to us. So every instructor here, we typically have about 8 dogs that we work with at any given time. So we do a rotation in training. We work with them, teach them, and then they get a little bit of time off. They get playtime also with us. So we just rotate through all of them throughout the day.
Here at Lions Foundation of Canada Dog Guides, there are 6 different programs. We have canine vision, hearing ear, autism assistance, diabetic alert, seizure response dog guides, and then service dog guides. You'll often see those dog guides adjacent to one of our clients in a wheelchair.
So our hearing ear dog guides are trained to help people who are deaf or hard of hearing. So the dogs are trained to 7 basic sounds. The dog's going to make physical contact with the person and then guide them to the sound. So whether it's the phone or somebody knocking at the door. The only different sound is the fire alarm. You don't want the dog leading the person to the fire. So the dog's going to make physical contact and then spin in a circle. And that's a visual cue to the person that, oh, it's the fire alarm going off. We need to leave the house. One of the sound that we train for is name calling. So what that is calling out the person's name.
Shelly.
The dog's going to make physical contact with the person and then guide them to the person calling them.
So when you're out and about in public, you might see different colored vests. And on our dog guides, that green puppy vest, just like what Wim is wearing here right now, this is a very young dog guide, a dog guide in training, so not quite 13 months of age. The green vest is sort of a sign to go ahead, approach the human and ask, can I say hello to your puppy? And because this is a very early stage of the training process for these young pups, it's usually okay to go ahead and engage with them. But when you see a red vest, that's more of an alert or a stop, and it really means this is a full-grown working dog who is currently assisting a Canadian living with a medical or physical disability, and really you're not encouraged to touch at all. Dogs who are perhaps going to the Autism Assistance Dog Guide program need to be snuggled. They need to be loved. They need someone who will be really tactile and touchy-lovey with them, because if they go home with a child who's on the autism spectrum, that child will do just as any child would do and will love and tug and snuggle, and you know, those dogs need early exposure to that.
Shiloh.
So sometimes we get asked the question, how do the dogs feel about it? Oh, they have to work for their person. Again, in the dog selection, we select dogs they want to please, they want to work for their person. My dog at home, when I'm at work, he's waiting for me at home for me to return, versus a dog guide follows their person everywhere they go, and they love that, and then they enjoy it. They love the exercise, they love the mental stimulation that the work that they have to do brings. They're dogs, they're from the sporting group, they're dogs that were hunters originally, that were developed to do work for people. They strive on that, they love it. So typically our dogs, they retire anywhere from 10 to 11 years of age. We want to give back to them. They've given us a lot of love, a lot of work for us, and then it's our time to give back at retirement.
They know that they're leaving a bigger footprint and they're doing more. They're doing something for an individual beyond just themselves. And so there's a whole lot of love in that action. I adore everything about it.
And we see how much they will change someone's life, and there's nothing that can replace that.
Oh, I love the puppies.
I know, all the dogs are amazing, and not only the dogs, but also the trainers and the families that take in these dogs for 18 months. They train them, they bring them in public, get them used to other people. It really takes a lot of love and dedication to get these puppies trained.
And you know, the love doesn't stop there. It continues when the dogs meet the people they're going to be helping. They really dedicate their lives to helping these people.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful example of God's love and really leads us to our big idea. Jesus shows us God's never-ending love. Now let's break up into small groups and see what this looks like in our own stories.